produce and who shouldn't be encouraged based on the qualities and traits that they have and that they were likely to pass on to their children. Now, we could think about that and think that's not an unreasonable assumption to make. Heredity actually doesn't actually work that way. And in fact, many of us, if you have children, you'll know that it doesn't really work that way. It's much more complex than that. And there's absolutely no guarantee that two beautiful, intelligent parents will have beautiful, intelligent children, which is beside the point anyway, because, what kind of world do we want to create where we only allow certain people to have kids and not others?
Hmm.
What do we actually value as humans, and what do we actually want for the world? But Galton developed this science of statistics around measuring the what he deemed to be the good qualities and bad qualities of people, as a kind of policy recommendation for who should be allowed to live and who shouldn't. And
Yeah.
that, of course, became the basis for the Nazi program of racial hygiene.
It is absolutely fascinating also to just sort of ponder what is the, people have obviously different motivations. We talked about that. I mean, individuals have different motivations to go into this field, but it's interesting in your book also the kind of stubborn, I mean, people who are operating today, and some of them well-meaning. I think you write something. I notated that on my notepad, and I don't know in which context it was, but I think you write somewhere that the left, the political left, also is kind of embracing some of these ideas today. Can you elaborate on that?
Movement was very much a movement on the left and on the right. So there were many progressives, people like Virginia Woolf and um, George Bernard Shaw, who absolutely believed that this was a social good, that eugenics could be a social good because they were stopping people from, poorer people who they saw to be genetically unfit from having so many children, and that that would be good for them and for the rest of society. So it was seen as a positive thing for many, many years. It was only really when it was taken up in Nazi Germany that people began to think again, and some people moved away from it. But even into the 1960s, 1970s, there were many people still trying to rehabilitate eugenics for the 20th century. And you see the rhetoric around eugenics even now, I would argue, in the way that we talk about the value of human life. When we think
Ab-
about, there
yeah.
are so many different ways in which we talk about human perfection or being the best versions of ourselves.
No, but I even
When I
think
hear that,
meritocracy, but we're talking specifically about what's so fascinating, because people would say, well, yeah, sure, the right wingers and whatnot, and the conservatives and this, and that makes sense. But then when you talk about leftists and progressives, most people are like, no, 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 no. But then you dig a little deeper, and people talk about meritocracy. People talk about the Leistungsgesellschaft here in Germany, um,
mm,
and all of a sudden, very, very slippery. And all of a sudden, you're in that same arena. And sorry to interrupt, but I was
mm,
just thinking also in popular culture, a movie that I actually really loved for a long time until I realized, wait a minute, the movie Idiocracy, that is a kind of a cult movie. But that movie starts off with, I don't know if people are familiar with it, but this one guy who's not the brightest bulb in the batch, he gets sent into the future, and the future is completely, people are super stupid, and he's basically then by default the smartest guy. Um, and people have compared this to sort of Trump, because the president is also very stupid in this movie. But the movie starts with a montage of an educated couple delaying becoming parents, and it's being cut, the intercut with footage from poor folks in a trailer who have kids after kids after kids.